Hello, I'm Adam Wren,
And I'm Dasha Burns. It is Thursday, July 17th.
and this is the Playbook Podcast. So, without further ado, here's the big story driving the day. The growing number of Trump allies and insiders calling for a special counsel to investigate the Epstein files. We started the week off with this story reporting that Laura Loomer was calling for a special prosecutor in this case. And we're at the end of the week talking about the same news.
And you're talking to Laura Loomer again, Adam.
That's right. A lot of Laura Loomer time this week for me. What's fascinating to me, though, is we heard yesterday John Solomon, the Just the News journalist, have a conversation with Donald Trump where he expressed being open to the idea. And then we finished the afternoon with Donald Trump at the White House telling CNN's DJ Judd that he has nothing to do with this, essentially exempting himself and tacitly acknowledging that there's no conflict that would require a special counsel to intervene in the Epstein files case. We also know that Ro Khanna, the congressman from California, told Jake Tapper that they had the votes to push a House vote on this to release the files. That's 212 Democrats and 7 Republicans. Lauren Boebert has also called for a special counsel. We're really seeing this bubble over. But there are a lot of crosscurrents that would point to this being a bad idea for the Trump administration.
Absolutely. I talked to a number of White House allies today who, first of all, said they don't think the White House would actually do this. Secondly, they all thought it was a terrible idea because so many different reasons. But number one, you keep extending this news cycle. Number two, if you get the special prosecutor and then the special prosecutor turns up with little to nothing, then you've upset the base yet again. And there's just very few avenues for this to result in something good for this administration.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I talked with our veteran legal affairs reporter, Kyle Cheney, last night about this.
Always call Kyle. Always call Kyle Cheney.
That's right. And he has some real reservations about how this would essentially be an odd move for the Trump administration because a lot of his senior Justice Department officials have forcefully rejected the existence of special counsels as by DOJ regulations and essentially have argued that they're unconstitutional. So even though Trump is sort of disclaiming himself from this, the people he would leave it to are against the idea of special counsels. But for whatever reason, this idea has taken hold as a silver bullet among people like Steve Bannon, who's talked about it on a show yesterday, and Laura Loomer, of course. And it just doesn't seem like it's the silver bullet that people say it would be.
No, and I think this has the White House really frozen in a way that I haven't seen before because this is completely new. This is new to the president, and this is new to those around him. He is used to being able to control the news cycle. He is used to being able to turn the narrative, turn the tables, and for all the criticism to be coming from the opposition. And he usually either wears that as a badge of honor or is somehow able to turn it around on them. He is not used to being in this position where he's unable to force the headlines on this. And this is also his base, right? He is somebody that has this unique connection with the people that voted for him, and for him not to be able to get them all on the same page, this is just such an unusual position for the president and his allies.
And it's not only getting them all on the same page, but he essentially nuked them yesterday with his Truth Social post. I mean, he said if they believe this, he didn't want their support anymore. And in American politics, Donald Trump's connection with his base is so rare and such a valued commodity and has really protected him from however many charges against him through 2 impeachments. His base has always been his armor. And for him to sort of distance himself from his base, that's just shocking to me.
Well, and the other thing that's happening is you have the people around him, elected officials, influencers, many of whom got where they are because of the president's endorsement, which rallied his base to their side. They are now trapped between President Trump and his base, which is certainly something new for all of them. And those are the two things that are most scary to especially elected officials and certainly to some of these influencers. But like those are the things that are the biggest factors for American politics on the right now. And they seem to be at odds at the moment.
Yeah, and another sort of data point in all of this that's pushing the story forward a little bit is that Maureen Comey, the Manhattan prosecutor who handled the Epstein case, was actually fired Wednesday, which doesn't look great. Of course, there is a connection she has. She's the daughter of James Comey, who Trump is famously at odds with. So, what did you make of that, Dasha?
Look, I don't know the behind the scenes details. We're all trying to report out exactly what happened, but we're talking about optics here right now, right? And I think optically, it is another one of those potentially unforced errors in this, where this is what you've seen from the MAGA base. The rallying cry is we want to see more, but they've also been very frustrated with just the execution of the rollout, whether it's the Bondi binders or what they saw as the about face from Bongino and Patel, like how this is being handled and all of these different drip aspects from the administration. It really has an effect, and it also kind of prolongs the pain. And the more the White House wants this to go away, the more Trump says stop talking about it, the more people seem to want to talk about it.
There was sort of a call from some people close to the White House earlier in the week saying Bondi just needs to go out and do a talk to you drop press conference, answer all questions, and just move beyond it after that, along with Todd Blanche, her deputy. But that doesn't seem to be anywhere close to happening.
No, and I think that was maybe the calculation with Bondi, the binders and the influencers. Like, let's give people this binder of information. And even though it's already been out there, it hasn't been released by the government before. So we'll do this thing. Everyone will get their moment in the sun, and then we can move on from this. And that's just not how it's played out.
At the same time, there are two other things that are driving the conversation in Washington today. First, a bunch of important votes are unfolding on Capitol Hill. Senate appropriators plan to vote this morning to approve the government funding bill that covers the FBI. Also on the Hill today, Emile Bovee will sit for a confirmation vote to serve on the U.S. Court of Appeals. And yesterday, hundreds of former members of the DOJ sent a letter discouraging the Senate from advancing his nomination.
Yeah, although we haven't really seen that kind of thing work with this Senate. The president, as you all know, has gotten all of his most controversial picks approved by Republicans on the Senate. So I'm skeptical that this one will be any different.
I am too. I am too. And as always, we try to end the show with something a little bit different. And Dasha, you've had quite the trip to New York. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I spent the day yesterday at the New York Stock Exchange with Don Jr. and Omid Malik, who were taking a company of theirs public called Grab a Gun. It's an online gun retailer, and the ticker symbol is PEW, P-E-W, as in pew, pew, pew.
You love that joke.
I mean, the name of the company is Grab a Gun, is pretty in your face about what it is that they do. The ticker symbol is like kind of a pun, a joke, an in your face thing. And I asked Don Jr. about whether this is kind of like them trolling folks a little bit. And the answer was hashtag always be trolling. And I kind of laugh at that, but it is representative of what was this sort of outsider anti-establishment mentality that has now suddenly become very much the mainstream. I mean, they went from being in the wilderness right after 2020 and Trump and a lot of his allies getting thrown off of traditional social media platforms, having to then going off and building Truth Social. And Don Jr. really pointed to this idea of building this parallel economy, which he and Omid Malik are doing via 1789 Capital. That's their fund and the platform that they're using to take companies like Grab a Gun public. That it came out of this necessity where they were outcasts and they wanted to build something for their ideas and also for other conservatives who felt like they were not being served by traditional systems. But now they are very much back, and it was a moment where you could tell that they were really reveling in that idea and doing a little bit of trolling there.
Now, Dasha, you also asked Donald Trump Jr. some pretty tough questions about whether he was using his father's last name just to profit. And of course, during the Biden presidency, there was significant concern among Republicans about Hunter Biden selling his paintings and who was buying those paintings. So tell us a little bit about how he responded to that.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a big part of the conversation. And I pressed him on that. You can imagine they certainly pushed back, pointing out that he's not sitting on the boards of the Metas or Googles. He is really looking for these companies, they say, that have synergy with the stuff that he's been advocating for a while, like Second Amendment rights and all of that stuff. Anyway, it was a fascinating conversation and a bit of a whiplash on Amtrak kind of day, which all our listeners know well.
Well, as always, send us your tips, birthdays, or spotted moments to playbook at politico.com. Dasha, this was great. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
And that's all for today's Playbook Podcast. We have much more news and analysis in today's Playbook newsletter, which you can find at politico.com/playbook. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great Thursday.
Thanks for listening.